Eh, Hey there. Welcome to another Ramblings. God, I did nothing. Notes and stuff. Desk. I sure do everything you're doing then. I'm not gonna get tired out. Not because of all the stupid gorgeous his ghost here, but yeah, it's time to talk about the last and by extension worst part of Deno, the Choden. Which leads off with that's one of those really long and complicated names. Cho Kamen Rider Den no and Decade Neo Generations the Onigashima Warship. And akin to the Kiva the Climax Deca film, this is as much a Decade movie as that, because they just show up for like one scene, bring back C because he's also in this movie too, and then show up to help the final fight. Okay, I probably should rephrase that. AR Kuga does not help because it's merely who helps. So carrying on from the crossover episode they had in the show, a new crisis befalls the Denliner crew when a group of Oni intend to use the legend of the Onigashima to destroy humanity. Anyway, their target is you. Totally not Yuto Sakurai as a child. I mean, what? He has a really solid relationship with Deneb, which is probably the only thing worthwhile about this film. Anyway, he holds the Trump Stone to bring said warship back to wreak havoc across the world and get, like, the third visit to ancient Japan with evil gangs and ugh. It's so hard to talk about this because this is just, it's like the third iteration of I'm Born that we've had here, and it's probably the worst one, and feels like so much of a cash grab. I don't like using that word just because, people still had to come here, had to more spend time, but nothing about this film feels entirely on its own. It feels like a mix up of both I'm Born and Climax. Next Deca, we have a writer who we have the younger version of a writer who goes along for the journey but doesn't transform because it's such a big twist that this boy is in reality Yuta, because he's not in this film. But I know I'm rambling a bit, and like Sona spoke, but like there's really nothing here. It's just trying to do the standard Deno kooky stuff. In hopes you won't notice that you're effectively watching the exact same movie that looks somehow worse. Like this feels like it was supposed to be part of the main TV show for like a bigger arc, but because Decade needed to be done by the third quarter, so double could premiere, and they wouldn't have to worry about stacking toys on top of toys for each series. It got made into its own little movie. Like, what do I say? The villains aren't interesting. This thing in the same way that Gal wasn't interesting, and they barely register in my head on what their names were. I'd have to look it up, and it's the Choden House series. I don't really care enough to go look up the names of Silver Oni and Gold Oni who want to destroy time because about the only thing you probably bring up is that Ryoto Origami technically shrank back to a young teenager because of timey-wimey bullshit, so he's played by the kid who played his younger self from I'm Born, and look, I don't want to say he's a bad actor. He just has the issue of he's having to fill in for Takeru Sato, who was basically the character. And we really don't get much of him as Ryotaro here since, he's not the main focus. It's on the new kid, Yuta. Yuto and him more or less having issues with sister, mother. I really don't know what it was, like some kind of family member. When they go back in Age of Time, they look like them. It's just but like in the later films, you can really tell that he doesn't have that same kind of range to easily match the other Taros in their energy. And look, replacing Taku was not going to be an easy thing, but you didn't really need to replace him. Wasn't that the entire point of New Ditto? The one you introduced in the film to take over? We saw that the Taros could transform without Ryotaro, so why have him around? Because, I can tell you why. Because more or less it was meant to recapture Deno's magic, which, trust me, none of these films come even close to matching Deno on a good day. Nay. But, yeah. Yeah, this movie is not interesting. It feels like it was just made into a movie to cash in on the fact that the Deno series was still very popular and people wanted more of it. So we got this, and then an entire trilogy of films focused on 3 other writers. There's episode Red focused on Zeronos, i.e. he shows up for like a few minutes. Blue focuses on New Deno, and Yellow focuses on the end. Who cares? Who cares at this point? Who cares? I guess there might be people who like these things. This might be Decade's fault since he shows up right at the end. Anyway, episode Red deals with some nice guy trying to rule Eri because, he's such a nice guy and just needs to get noticed by her. And basically a repeat of the last Zeranos card arc from the series. Episode Blue completely ruins Owner for people who liked him. And Yellow focuses on the end and trying to fix a mistake in the past by ending his life. It'll make sense when we get there. Anyway, episode Red might just be even more forgettable than Onigashi Worship, despite the film's main focus on Yuto. In this poster that's meant to advertise the free films that are coming out, he's right there in his Zero form to make it sense why it's red and not episode green. He is barely a factor in here. He shows up a couple of times, barely speaks, and then becomes the main focus of the final action set piece. It's there, it happens, and it's just out one ear, in the other. And that's sort of kind of a big problem. And that this is very much feeling like guidance stories for later series where, they gave the focus to other writers, and that Deno is still very much a character in these films. Not like a side character, but still very much a main character in them. Yeah. And that kind of takes away from the focus of the others. When we get to other Gaiden films, the focus is clearly on these secondary writers. Their entire character, their focus. Guess whatever they had to overcome. Here, you get more Deno shenanigans that don't feel as strong because the new actor just can't match Toku Sato's abilities, and I'm sorry to keep saying it, I really am. Lord knows replacing Toku Sato was not an easy thing to do. But if you can't find anyone to do it again, don't do it. Anyway, as stated, Blue is ruined because Owner decides to teach Kotor a lesson by taking Teddy away because he didn't cherish him enough. That's the problem when you introduce a new character at the end of the show and barely develop them. We don't know what they're... I mean, yeah, it's very clearly a more standard master-servant relationship compared to the Taros being those rowdy brothers you have. But we just had bare snippets of it. We don't know much about if Kotaro was taking advantage outside of the fact that in the scene leading up to it, we obviously get the fact that, quote-unquote, maybe he's taking advantage of him. But at the same time, this is like the first time he's gotten any real major focus, because Final Count then was still very much about the main Den-O crew, and more or less he got the side plot. He's in Onigashima, but still not the main focus, so this is technically his first time to shine. And it more or less is a giant pity trip for this guy, because he spends most of the time without Teddy getting kicked around like a can. And there is a conflict involving a snake. Some kind of imagine that more or less spews poison that ends up trying to get... And that makes a deal with the actress, a character who is played by the actress who would go on to play Rinko Daimon and Wizard, and this is really making me want to just go back and revisit Wizard. Maybe give it a second chance. Maybe I should bump it up. As time goes on, I'm thinking a lot more positively. Like, I probably was maybe a little too harsh on it, but you can see what I'm getting. Yeah, there's nothing about these films that's just Den-O shenanigans, hoping that it makes up for the fact that it doesn't have any of the OG charm. For it, and Owner just again comes off like a colossal word that will probably get me age gated, but I could probably say it because no one really cares or watches this stuff. Stuff dick. It's not good, and their reconciliation and him being like, oh, this was just a lesson, reminds me way too much of the grandfather from the ninja and his lessons. Yellow is slightly better in that it does feel focused on its actual character and Daiki, but it's still not particularly good. Again, I've seen Superhero Tyson, so already not winning points for me for making him the main character. Their hair, and you can really tell that this film was not written by Kobayashi, who would think about the implications of adding a time force to Den-O. No, because you have to wonder, couldn't they have just... I know, probably... once the images were erased, that wasn't really an issue, but they created still, but, like, it just raises too many questions of why was this not made as sooner rather than later to help Den-O? It's just... Also, they for some reason have more authority than even the owner and the person who runs the station, somehow. I don't know why. The guy who's basically the main cop focus from the G-Men, because really no one cares about names. And this Reiji Kurosaki is just... okay, we at least learn some of the kind of relationship he has with Daiki and why he's so bent on doing this. It's nothing incredible, but it's, it's an actual character as a final villain and not just something. And the suit looks fine except for one thing. The man-made Imagine Eve on the chest. Chest that just looks... ugh. I mean, it's still okay compared to... the incomplete... just imagine a decade that looks even cheaper. Like, not it's not as big looking, so it just looks underwhelming and cheap, but just as terrible because it's so lazy of just putting the cards of movie writers on the chess piece instead of, something. But I have to give particular criticism to just the end. Not the final fight, it's okay and kind of a neat little... It's just after it ends, it just keeps going. It goes on for like another 10 minutes with more shenanigans. And you know how more or less... I don't know if I have MST3K people watching, but just like watching it, I was just doing that thing he did at the end of Batwoman, just demanding that the film end! I was so done with it all. I was so done with the Deno. No shenanigans. I was done with these characters, and I didn't want to see them for as long as I possibly could hope for. And unfortunately, we still have one more. Well, this one's actually okay. It's actually not bad. So for our last Deno thing, we have Pretty Day. No, which thankfully does not focus on any existing characters, but this new character, Anna, who has the standard early fallout with Mother throwaway Lucky Charm and is attacked by Shocker Combat Man, who have revealed who have taken over the Demliner, and in the midst of the chaos throws her and Momotaros into the year of 1989, where she has the actual reaction a child would have to one of these imagines and runs away from him, meeting a girl called Melon, because names and nicknames back then were cruel. And it's revealed that the reason that they are back there is to steal her 60 million yen lottery ticket that she has yet to more or less use. Like, come on, you're a child. You have to have something you want to buy. Like a giant mansion, a never-ending supply of Sailor Moon, Vignette, whatever, shoujo thing, like something. Come on, you have literally 60 million yen sitting in your thing that Shocker wants to use to build a secret headquarters since they destroyed them, which, for inflation's sake, is definitely not as worthwhile. I know more or less I'm doing all this, but I can probably just cut it out. It's like 7,182 million is is only $7,182,004.94. Again, it's not as much, but despite the plot's obvious kind of excuse setup, it's in a similar vein to what Rhydon and Bravo was. It really doesn't care about continuity and just wants to, be a fun little adventure for Deno. Considering that this came out in 2020, around August, a nice distraction from the world slowly falling apart was a nice thing. It kind of has something for everyone. For the oldies, there's Shocker and the goofy villains. For the parents, there's obviously Deno. Now and then for the children. And, well, there's the young girl who becomes it. And his story is probably not the most unique. just becoming friends and doing what she believed. Right, but the actress they got to play her actually does well in mimicking Momotaro. Granted, it's only 1 compared to 4, but that's not bad for a child her age. And seeing Momo, like, the transformation from the kind of the delinquent anti-hero that he started the series as to kind of this goofy, bumbling big brother is kind of cool. I do wish she did finish off the main bad guy in her pretty Den-O, which is just sword form plus ribbon on a smaller body. Instead, Momotaro finishes it. But she has some nice interactions with her. The Melon twist was, again, seeable, but it was nice of her to go long again. Overall, it's one of those fun little nice kind of wind down things. You know what you're getting with it, and that's nice. Nice. It's like slipping back into a nice, comfortable pair of sweats. You probably don't look the best, but hey, it could be worse. And honestly, the final cameo at the end is kind of funny. It's probably worth it just for that. But yeah, I'm free. I'm free from Den-O until they release more stuff. But for the moment, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. That feels so invigorating. Next time, Gar, let's get away from these light colors and go for something dark and edgy. As always, do the things to help me. Be staying the algorithm, and we'll see you around.